Wonderful and lovely place it is, Leopold's Beer Oh, yes, wonderful and lovely place it is, Leopold's Beer Bar. Full of the most wonderful, lovely peoples, the very, very fine and lovely people. All kind of foreigners you can find there, all making good business. Sexy business, and drugs business, and money business, and black market business, and naughty pictures, and smuggler business, and passport business, and... Okay, Prabaker, I get it. You want to go there? No, maybe later. I stopped walking, and Prabaker stopped beside me. Listen, what do your friends call you? I mean, what's your name for short, instead of Prabaker? Oh, yes, short name I am having also. My short name is Prabhu. Prabhu? Hike it. It's meaning the son of light, or like to that. Is good name, yes? Is good name, yes. And your good name, Mr. Lindsay, it is really not so good, if you don't mind I'm telling your face. I don't like it this long and kind of a squeaky name, for Indian people speaking. Oh, you don't? Sorry to say it, no. I don't, not at all. Not a bit, not even a teensy or a weensy. Well, I smiled, I'm afraid there's not a lot I can do about it. I'm thinking that a short name, Lin, is much better, he suggested. If you're not having objections, I will call you Lin. It was as good a name as any, and no more or less false than the dozen others I'd assumed since the escape. In fact, in recent months I'd found myself reacting with a quirky fatalism to the new names I was forced to adopt, in one place or another, and to the new names that others gave me. Lin. It was a diminutive I never could have invented for myself. But it sounded right, which is to say that I heard the voodoo echo of something ordained, fated. A name that instantly belonged to me, as surely as the lost, secret name with which I was born, and under which I'd been sentenced to 20 years in prison. I peered down into Prabaker's round face and his large, dark, mischievous eyes, and I nodded, smiled, and accepted the name. I couldn't know, then, that the little Bombay street guide had given me a name thousands of people, from Colaba to Kandahar, from Kinshasa to Berlin, would come to know me by. Fate needs accomplices, and the stones in destiny's walls are mortared with small and heedless complicities such as those. I look back, now, and I know that the naming moment, which seemed so insignificant then, which seemed to demand no more than an arbitrary and superstitious yes or no, was in fact a pivotal moment in my life. The role I played under that name, and the character I became, Lin Baba, was more real and true to my nature than anyone or anything that I ever was before it. Yes, okay, Lin will do. Very good. I am too happy that you like it, this name. And like my name is meaning son of light in Hindi language, your name, Lin, has it also a very fine and so lucky meaning. Yeah? What does Lin mean in Hindi? It's meaning penis, he explained, with a delight that he expected me to share. Oh, great. That's just, great. Yes, very great, very lucky. It is not exactly meaning this, but it is sounding like ling, or lingam, and that is meaning penis. Come off it, man, I protested, beginning to walk once more. How can I go around calling myself Mr. Penis? Are you kidding me? I can see it now. Oh, hello, pleased to meet you, my name is Penis. No way, forget it, I think we'll stick to Lindsay. No, Lin, really I'm telling you, this is a fine name, a very power name, a very lucky, a too lucky name. The people will love this name, when they hear it. Come, I will show you. I want to leave it this bottle of whiskey you gave to me, leave it with my friend, Mr. Sanjay. Here, just here in this shop. Just you see how he likes it your name. A few more paces along the busy street brought us to a small shop with a hand-painted sign over the open door. Radio Sick. Electric Repair Enterprises. Electrical Sales and Repairs, Sanjay Deshpande proprietor. Sanjay Deshpande was a heavy-set man in his 50s with a halo of gray-white hair and white, bushy eyebrows. He sat behind a solid wooden counter, surrounded by bomb-blast radios, eviscerated cassette players, and boxes of parts. Prabaker greeted him, chattering in rapid Hindi, and passed the bottle of whiskey over the counter. Mr. Deshpande slapped a meaty hand on it, without looking at it, and slid it out of sight on his side of the counter. He took a sheaf of rupee notes from his shirt pocket, peeled off a number, and passed them across with his palm turned downward. Prabaker took the money and slipped it into his pocket with a movement as swift and fluid as the tentacle grab of a squid. He finished talking, at last, and beckoned me forward. "This is my very good friend," he informed Mr. Deshpande, patting me on the arm. "He is from New Zealand." Mr. Deshpande grunted. "He is just today coming in Bombay. India guest house, he is staying." Mr. Deshpande grunted again. He studied me with a vaguely hostile curiosity. "His name is Lin." "Mr. Linbaba," Prabaker said. "What's his name?" Mr. Deshpande asked. "Lin." Prabaker grinned. "His name is Linbaba." Mr. Deshpande raised his impressive eyebrows in a surprised smile. "Linbaba? Oh, yes." Prabaker enthused. "Lin. Very fine fellow, he is also." Mr. Deshpande extended his hand, and I shook it. We greeted one another, and then Prabaker began to tug at my sleeve, pulling me towards the doorway. "Linbaba," Mr. Deshpande called out, as we were about to step into the street. "Welcome in Bombay. You have any Walkman or camera or any ghetto blasting machine for selling, you come to me, Sanjay Deshpande, at Radio Sikh. I am giving best prices." I nodded, and we left the shop. Prabaker dragged me a few paces further along the street, and then stopped. "You see, Mr. Lin? You see how he likes it your name?" "I guess so," I muttered, bewildered as much by his enthusiasm as by the brief exchange with Mr. Deshpande. When I got to know him well enough, when I began to cherish his friendship, I discovered that Prabaker believed with the whole of his heart that his smile made a difference, in people's hearts and in the world. He was right, of course, but it took me a long time to understand that truth, and to accept it. What's the Baba part, at the end of the name? Lin, I can understand. But what's the Linbababit all about? Baba is just a respecting name, Prabaker grinned. If we put Baba up on the back of your name, or on the name of anybody special, it is like meaning the respect we give it to a teacher, or a holy person's, or a very old. I get it, but it doesn't make me any more comfortable with it, Prabhu, I gotta tell ya. This whole penis thing, I don't know, but you did see, Mr. Sanjay Deshpande. You did see how he liked it your name. Look, see how the people love this name. You see now, you look, I will tell it to everybody. Linbaba. He was speaking in a shout, addressing strangers as they passed us on the street. All right, Prabhu, all right. I take your word for it. Calm down. It was my turn to tug at his sleeve, and move him along the street. I thought you wanted to drink the whiskey? Ah, yes, he sighed, was wanting it, and was already drinking it in my mind also. But now, Linbaba, with this money from selling your good present to Mr. Sanjay, I can buy 2 bottles of very bad and nicely cheap Indian whiskey, to enjoy, and plenty of money left for 1 nice new shirt, red color, 1 tola of good charas, tickets for enjoying air-conditioned Hindi picture, and 2 days of foods. But wait, Linbaba, you are not eating it your pawn. You must put it now in the side of your mouth and chew it, before it is getting stale and not good for taste. Okay, how'd I do it? Like this? I put the leaf-wrapped parcel, almost the size of a matchbox, into the side of my mouth between the cheek and the teeth, as I'd seen the others do. Within seconds, a suffusion of aromatic sweetnesses possessed my mouth. The taste was sharp and luscious, honeyed and subtly piquant at the same time. The leaf wrapping began to dissolve, and the solid, crunchy nibbles of shaved betel nut, date, and coconut swirled in the sweet juices. You must spit it out some pawn now, Prabaker said, staring at my grinding jaws with earnest concentration. You make like this, see? Spit him out like this. He spat out a squirt of red juice that landed on the road, a meter away, and formed a palm-sized blotch. It was a precise, expert procedure. Not a speck of the juice remained on his lips. With his enthusiastic encouragement, I tried to imitate him, but the mouthful of crimson liquid bubbled out of my mouth, left a trail of slobber on my chin and the front of my shirt, and landed with an audible splat on my right boot. No problem this shirt, Prabaker frowned, pulling a handkerchief from his pocket, and smearing the blood-red fluid deeper into my shirt front with vigorously ineffective rubbing. No problem your boots also. I will wipe him just like this, see? I must ask it now, do you like the swimming? Swimming? I asked, swallowing the little pond mixture that was still in my mouth. Oh, yes, swimming. I will take you to Chowpatty Beach, so nice beach it is, and there you can practice chewing and spitting and chewing and more spitting the pond, but without so many of all your clothes only, for a good saving on your laundry. Listen, about that. Going around the city. You work as a guide, right? Oh, yes. Very best Bombay guide, and guiding all India also. How much do you charge per day? He glanced at me, his cheeks appled in the impish grin I was learning to recognize as the clever underside of his broad and gentle smile. I charge 100 rupees all day, he said. Okay. And tourists buy at the lunch. Sure. And taxi also, tourists pay. Of course. And Bombay bus tickets, all they pay. Yeah. And chai, if we drink it on a hot afternoon, for refreshing our good selves. Huh. And sexy girls, if we go there, on a cool night, if we are feeling a big needy swelling in our. Yeah, okay. Listen, I'll pay you for the whole week. I want you to show me Bombay, teach me a bit about the city. If it works out okay, there'll be a bonus for you at the end of the week. How does that sound? The smile sparked his eyes, but his voice was surprisingly somber as he replied. This is your good decision, Linbaba. Your very good decision. Well, I laughed, we'll see. And I want you to teach me some Hindi words, okay? Oh, yes, I can teach everything. Ha means yes, and nahin means no, and pani means water, and khana means foods, and. Okay, we don't have to learn it all at once. Is this the restaurant? Good, I'm starved. I was about to enter the dark and unprepossessing restaurant when he stopped me, his expression suddenly grave. He frowned and swallowed hard, as if he was unsure how to begin. Before we are eating this good foods, he said, at last, before we make any business also, something there is, I must tell it to you. Okay. His manner was so dejected that I felt a twinge of apprehension. Well, now I am telling, that Tolacharas, the one I was selling to you in hotel. Yes? Well, that was the business price. The really price, the friendship price, is only 50 rupees for one Tola Afghani charas. He lifted his arms, and then let them slap down at his thighs. I charged it 50 rupees too much. I see, I answered quietly. The matter was so trivial, from my point of view, that I was tempted to laugh out loud. It was obviously important to him, however, and I suspected that he wasn't often moved to make such admissions. In fact, as he told me much later, Prabaker had just then decided to like me, and for him that meant he was bound to a scrupulous and literal honesty in everything he said or did. It was at once his most endearing and most irritating quality, that he always told me the whole of the truth. So, what do you want to do about it? My suggestion, he said seriously, we smoke at that business price charas very fast, until finish that one, then I will buy new one for us. After from now, it will be everything friendship prices, for you and for me also. This is a no-problem policy, isn't it? I laughed, and he laughed with me. I threw my arm around his shoulder and led him into the steamy, ambrosial activity of the busy restaurant. Lin, I think I am your very good friend, Prabaker decided, grinning happily. We are the lucky fellows, isn't it? Maybe it is, I replied. Maybe it is. Hours later, I lay back in a comfortable darkness, under the soundstrobe of a ceaselessly revolving ceiling fan. I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. Beneath my windows the street that had writhed and toiled in daylight was silent, subdued by a night sultriness, moist with stars. Astounding and puzzling images from the city tumbled and turned in my mind like leaves on a wave of wind, and my blood so thrilled with hope and possibility that I couldn't suppress a smile, lying there in the dark. No one, in the world I'd left behind me, knew where I was. No one, in the new world of Bombay, knew who I was. In that moment, in those shadows, I was almost safe. I thought of Prabaker and his promise to return early in the morning to begin my tours of the city. Will he come? I wondered. Or will I see him somewhere later in the day, walking with another newly arrived tourist? I decided, with the faint, impersonal callousness of the lonely, that if he were as good as his word, and turned up in the morning, I would begin to like him. I thought of the woman, Carla, again and again, surprised that her composed, unsmiling face intruded so often. If you go to Leopold's, sometime, maybe you'll find out. That was the last thing she'd said to me. I didn't know if it was an invitation, a challenge, or a warning. Whatever it was, I meant to take her up on it. I meant to go there and look for her. But not yet, not until I'd learned a little more about the city she seemed to know so well. I'll give it a week, I thought. A week in the city? And beyond those reflections, as always in fixed orbits around the cold sphere of my solitude, were thoughts of my family and my friends. Endless. Unreachable. Every night was twisted around the unquenchable longing of what my freedom had cost me, and all that was lost. Every night was pierced by the spike of shame for what my freedom continued to cost them, the loved ones I was sure I would never see again. "We could'll beat him down, you know," the tall Canadian said from his dark corner on the far side of the room, his sudden voice in the whirring silence sounding like stones thrown on a metal roof. "We could'll beat that manager down on the price of this room. It's costin' us $6 for the day. We could'll beat him down to 4. It's not a lot of money, but it's the way they do things here. You gotta beat these guys down, and barter for everything. We're leavin' tomorrow for Delhi, but you're stayin' here. We talked about it before, when you were out, and we're kinda worried about you. You gotta beat him down, man. If you don't learn that, if you don't start thinking like that, they're gonna fuck you over, these people. The Indians in the cities are real mercenary, man. It's a great country, don't get me wrong. That's why we come back here. But they're different than us. Hell, they just expect it, that's all. You gotta beat him down." He was right about the price of the room, of course. We could have saved $1 or $2 per day. And haggling is the economical thing to do. Most of the time, it's the shrewd and amiable way to conduct your business in India. But he was wrong, too. The manager, Anand, and I became good friends in the years that followed. The fact that I trusted him on sight and didn't haggle on that first day, that I didn't try to make a buck out of him, that I worked on an instinct that respected him and was prepared to like him, endeared me to him. He told me so, more than once. He knew, as we did, that 6 of our dollars wasn't an extravagant price for 3 foreign men to pay. The owners of the hotel received $4 per day per room. That was their baseline. The $1 or $2 above that minimum was all Anand and his staff of 3 room boys shared as their daily wage. The little victories haggled from him by foreign tourists cost Anand his daily bread, and cost them the chance to know him as a friend. The simple and astonishing truth about India and Indian people is that when you go there and deal with them, your heart always guides you more wisely than your head. There's nowhere else in the world where that's quite so true. I didn't know that then, as I closed my eyes in the dark and breathing silence on that first night in Bombay. I was running on instinct and pushing my luck. I didn't know that I'd already given my heart to the woman and the city. And knowing none of it, I fell, before the smile faded from my lips, into a dreamless, gentle sleep. Chapter 2. She walked into Leopold's at the usual time, and when she stopped at a table near me to talk with friends, I tried once more to find the words for the foliant blaze of her green eyes. I thought of leaves and opals and the warm shallows of island seas. But the living emerald in Carla's eyes, made luminous by the sunflowers of gold light that surrounded the pupils, was softer, far softer. I did eventually find that color, the green in nature that was a perfect match for the green in her lovely eyes, but it wasn't until long months after that night in Leopold's. And strangely, inexplicably, I didn't tell her about it. I wish now with all my heart that I did. The past reflects eternally between 2 mirrors, the bright mirror of words and deeds, and the dark one, full of things we didn't do or say. I wish now that from the beginning, even then in the first weeks that I knew her, even on that night, the words had come to tell her that I liked her. And I did. I liked everything about her. I liked the Helvetian music of her Swiss-American English, and the way she pushed her hair back slowly with a thumb and forefinger when she was irritated by something. I liked the hard-edged cleverness of her conversation, and the easy, gentle way she touched the people she liked when she walked past them or sat beside them. I liked the way she held my eyes until the precise moment when it stopped being comfortable, and then smiled, softening the assail, but never looked away. She looked the world in the eye and stared it down, and I liked that about her because I didn't love the world then. The world wanted to kill me or catch me. The world wanted to put me back in the same cage I'd escaped from, where the good guys, the guys in prison guard uniforms who got paid to do the right thing, had chained me to a wall and kicked me until they broke my bones. And maybe the world was right to want that. Maybe it was no worse than I deserved. But repression, they say, breeds resistance in some men, and I was resisting the world with every minute of my life. The world and I are not on speaking terms, Carla said to me once in those early months. The world keeps trying to win me back, she said, but it doesn't work. I guess I'm just not the forgiving type. And I saw that in her, too, right from the start. I knew from the first minute how much like me she was. I knew the determination in her that was almost brutal, and the courage that was almost cruel, and the lonely, angry longing to be loved. I knew all that, but I didn't say a word. I didn't tell her how much I liked her. I was numb, in those first years after the escape, shell-shocked by the disasters that warred in my life. My heart moved through deep and silent water. No one, and nothing, could really hurt me. No one, and nothing, could make me very happy. I was tough, which is probably the saddest thing you can say about a man. You're becoming a regular here, she teased, ruffling my hair with one hand as she sat down at my table. I loved it when she did that. It meant that she'd read me accurately, that she was sure I wouldn't take offense. I was 30 then, ugly, taller than average, with wide shoulders, a deep chest, and thick arms. People didn't often ruffle my hair. Yeah, I guess I am. So, you went around on tour with Crabacre again? How was it today? He took me to the island, Elephanta, to see the caves. A beautiful place, she remarked quietly, looking at me, but dreaming of something else. If you get the chance, you should visit the Ajanta and Ellora caves, in the north of the state. I spent the night there, once, at Ajanta, in one of the caves. My boss took me there. Your boss? Yes, my boss. Is he European, your boss, or Indian? Neither one, actually. Tell me about him. Why? She asked with a direct, frowning stare. I was simply making conversation, trying to keep her near me, talking to me, and the sudden wariness that bristled in the single word of her question surprised me. It's no big deal, I replied, smiling. I'm just curious about how people get work here, how they make a living, that's all. Well, I met him 5 years ago, on a long-distance flight, she said, looking down at her hands and seeming to relax once more. We both got on the plane at Zurich. I was on my way to Singapore, but by the time we got to Bombay he'd convinced me to get off the plane and work for him. The trip to the caves was something special. He arranged it, somehow, with the authorities, and I went up there with him, and spent the night in a big cave, full of stone sculptures of the Buddha, and 1,000 chattering bats. I was safe. He had a bodyguard posted outside. But it was incredible. A fantastic experience. And it really helped me to put things in focus. Sometimes you break your heart in the right way, if you know what I mean. I wasn't sure what she meant, but when she paused, expecting a reply, I nodded as if I did understand. You learn something or you feel something completely new, when you break your heart that way, she said. Something that only you can know or feel in that way. And I knew, after that night, I would never have that feeling anywhere but India. I knew, I can't explain it, I just knew somehow, that I was home, and warm, and safe. And, well, I'm still here. What kind of business is he in? What? Your boss, what does he do? Imports, she said, and exports. She lapsed into silence, turning her head to scan the other tables. Do you miss your home? My home? Yeah, I mean your other home. Don't you ever get homesick for Switzerland? In a way, yes I do. I come from Basel. Have you ever been there? No, I've never been to Europe. Well, you must go, and when you go there you must visit Basel. It's really a very European city, you know? It's divided by the river Rhine into Great Basel and Small Basel, and the two halves of the city have really different styles and attitudes, so it's like living in two cities at the same time. That used to suit me once. And it's right on the meeting place of 3 countries, so you can just walk across the border into Germany and France. You can have breakfast in France, you know, with coffee and baguettes, and lunch in Switzerland, and dinner in Germany, without leaving the city by more than a few kilometers. I miss Basel, more than I miss Switzerland. She stopped, catching her breath, and looked up at me through soft, unpainted lashes. Sorry, I'm giving you a geography lesson here. No, please go on. It's interesting. You know, she said slowly, I like you, Lynn. She stared that green fire into me. I felt myself reddening slightly, not from embarrassment, but from shame, that she'd said so easily the very words, I like you, that I wouldn't let myself say to her. You do? I asked, trying to make the question sound more casual than it was. I watched her lips close in a thin smile. Yes, you're a good listener. That's dangerous, because it's so hard to resist. Being listened to, really listened to, is the second best thing in the world. What's the first best thing? Everybody knows that. The best thing in the world is power. Oh, is it? I asked, laughing. What about sex? No, apart from the biology, sex is all about power. That's why it's such a rush. I laughed again. And what about love? A lot of people say that love is the best thing in the world, not power. They're wrong, she said with terse finality. Love is the opposite of power. That's why we fear it so much. Carla, dear one, the things you say. Didier Levy said, joining us and taking a seat beside Carla. I must make the conclusion that you have wicked intentions for our Lynn. You didn't hear a word we said, she chided. I don't have to hear you. I can see by the look on his face. You've been talking your riddles to him, and turning his head around. You forget, Carla, that I know you too well. Here, Lynn, we'll cure you at once. He shouted to one of the red-jacketed waiters, calling the man by the number 4 emblazoned on the breast pocket on his uniform. Hey, char number. Do badly bin, what will you have, Carla? Coffee? Oh, char number. Ek coffee aur. Jaldi karo. Didier Levy was only 35 years old, but those years were stitched to him in lumpy wads of flesh and deep lines that gave him the plump and careworn look of a much older man. In defiance of the humid climate, he always wore baggy canvas trousers, a denim shirt, and a rumpled, gray woolen sports coat. His thick, curly black hair never seemed to be shorter or longer than the line of his collar, just as the stubble on his tired face never seemed to be less than 3 days from its last shave. He spoke a lavishly accented English, using the language to provoke and criticize friend and stranger alike with an indolent malignity. There were people who resented his rudeness and rebukes, but they tolerated them because he was frequently useful and occasionally indispensable. He knew where everything, from a pistol, to a precious gem, to a kilo of the finest Thai white heroin, might be bought or sold in the city. And, as he sometimes boasted, there was very little he wouldn't do for the right amount of money, provided there was no significant risk to his comfort and personal safety. We were talking of the different ideas people have about the best thing in the world, Carla said, but I don't have to ask what you think. You would say that I think money is the best thing in the world, he suggested lazily, and we'd both be right. Every sane and rational person one day realizes that money is almost everything. The great principles and the noble virtues are all very well, in the long run of history, but from one day to the next, it's money that keeps us going, and the lack of it that drives us under the great wheel. And what about you, Lynn? What did you say? He didn't say anything yet, and now that you're here, he won't get a chance. Now be fair, Carla. Tell us, Lynn. I would like to know. Well, if you press me, I'd have to say freedom. The freedom to do what? He asked, putting a little laugh in the last word. I don't know. Maybe just the freedom to say no. If you've got that much freedom, you really don't need any more. The beer and coffee arrived. The waiter slammed the drinks onto the table with reckless discourtesy. The service in the shops, hotels, and restaurants of Bombay, in those days, moved from a politeness that was charming or fawning to a rudeness that was either abrupt or hostile. The churlishness of Leopold's waiters was legendary. It's my favorite place in the whole world, Carla once said, to be treated like dirt. A toast, Didier declared, raising his glass to touch mine. To the freedom, to drink. Salud. He drank half the long glass, let out a loud, wide-mouthed sigh of pleasure, and then drank the rest. He was pouring himself a second glass when 2 others, a man and a woman, joined our group, sitting between Carla and me. The dark, brooding, undernourished young man was Modena, a dour and taciturn Spaniard who did black market business with French, Italian, and African tourists. His companion, a slim and pretty German prostitute named Ulla, had for some time allowed him to call himself her lover. Ah, Modena, you were just in time to buy the next round, Didier shouted, reaching past Carla to slap him on the shoulder. I will have a whiskey and soda, if you please. The shorter man flinched under the blow and scowled unhappily, but he called the waiter to his side and ordered drinks. Ulla was speaking with Carla in a mixture of German and English that, by accident or intent, obscured the most interesting parts of her conversation. How could I know it, no? How was it possible for me to know that he was a spinner? Total verrucht, I tell you. At the start, he looked totally straight to me. Or, maybe, do you think that was a sign? Maybe he was a little bit too straight looking. Naja, 10 minutes in the room and wollte auf der Klamotten kommen. On my best dress. I had to fight with him to save my clothes, der Sprintficker. Spritzen wollte all over my clothes. Gibtische nicht. And later, when I went to the bathroom for a little sniff of cokes, I came back to see da beide seinen Schwanz ganz tief in einer meiner Schuhe hat. Can you believe it? In my shoe. Nicht zu fassen. Let's face it, Carla said gently, the crazy ones always know how to find you, Ulla. Ja, leider. What can I say? Crazy people love me. Don't listen to her, Ulla my love, Didier consoled her. Craziness is the basis of many a fine relationship. In fact, craziness is the basis of every fine relationship. Didier, Ulla sighed, mouthing his name with a smile of exquisite sweetness. Have I told you to get fucked yet? No, he laughed, but I forgive you for the lapse. Between us, my darling, such things are always implied and understood. The whiskey arrived, in 4 small flasks, and the waiter prized the tops off 2 soda bottles with a brass bottle opener that hung from a chain at his belt. He let the tops bounce on the table and fall to the floor, then swished a grimy rag over the wet surface of the table, forcing us to duck and weave as the moisture spilled in all directions. 2 men approached our table from different parts of the restaurant, one to speak to Didier and the other with Modena. Ulla used the moment to lean close to me. Under the table she pressed something into my hand. It felt like a small roll of banknotes, and her eyes pleaded with me not to draw attention to it. As she talked to me, I slipped the notes into my pocket without looking at them. So have you decided how long you're going to stay? She asked. I don't really know. I'm in no hurry. Don't you have someone waiting for you somewhere, or someone you should go to? She asked, smiling with adroit but passionless coquetry. Seduction was a habit with her. She turned that same smile on her customers, her friends, the waiters, even on Didier, whom she openly disliked, on everyone, in fact, including her lover, Modena. In the months and years that followed, I heard a lot of people criticize Ulla, some of them cruelly, for her flirtations. I didn't agree with them. It seemed to me, as I got to know her well, that she flirted with the world because flirting was the only real kindness she ever knew or shared. It was her way of being nice, and of making sure that people, men, were nice to her. She believed that there wasn't enough niceness in the world,